We're not looking at one season or one group of people to celebrate. A lot of people have invested in this. Matt Kredich and his staff and his crew with Mark Soa, other assistant coaches, Katie Peterson and Danielle Tansel, Jay DeMeo and Steve Purcell. And I think we need to date back even further before the 10, and Warren Hammer, who did have his fingerprints on the first couple championships that Matt was able to, and Matt's teams were able to win.
Richmond was a great situation for me to come into. I feel like the table was pretty well set for a lot of success in terms of support from the athletic department, and then there were some really good athletes there and great people. What we did was emphasize swimming in their lives a whole lot more. We talked about being 100% committed to a sport. And there were some really, I think, critical people there who bought in. People like Kristen Newkirk and Casey DeLewis, very powerful leaders who had been there for a while, and they bought in. Elizabeth Cook was a phenomenal leader and was one of the first people to have the kind of success that I think has become expected now out of Richmond swimming.
He is an expert in our sport. He's an amazing teacher. He brews great thoughts, but even more importantly, he can articulate those in messages that young athletes here at Richmond can understand, and his current swimmers at Tennessee. He is one of the highlights in our sport right now.
And through the 4 years I was there, we were able to attract people who were really excited about swimming at Richmond, who wanted to be part of, I think, an incredible academic and social environment, and then also be sort of weave in a commitment to a lifestyle that swimming demands. Brooke Boncher, I think, had probably the most success out of anybody, and I think she set a great example for people. But we also had outstanding leaders that bridged really the transition between me and Matt Barroney. Annie Kirchner was a great captain. Caitlin Geary, I think, turned out to be an incredible leader. So those bridge people too, who came in when I got there, and then who understood the new expectations from Matt and bought into that completely.
One of the other bridges that helped span the entire series of championships was Jay DeMeo. I believe Jay has been here for 7 of them. I think maybe next to former diving coach Elliot Clark, Jay might have won the most championships, but Jay's vital. He can be grumpy, but he can be extremely caring. The women respect him.
To call the transition from Kredich to Barroney seamless would be an understatement. Two extremely similar guys, 2 guys that follow philosophically similar ideas, both completely quirky, but know what it takes to get these athletes to perform to their best level, to challenge them, to push them, to get the most out of what these kids have. And it was really awesome. I mean, there's obviously the differences between the two, but for the most part, the science is very similar. The training structure is very similar.
When Matt left and he communicated with me, and he was persuasive and indicated that he'd like for me to consider the position, and Matt is very persuasive. But the way that he spoke of his team and the way that he cared about the future of the young women who were on his team really spoke a lot to me about what he was looking for, and the idea that he would perhaps or potentially trust me with the future of something that he had worked so hard on.
It couldn't have been an easier transition going from Matt to Matt. I mean, they have the same name. That's how seamless the transition was.
I think Jay and I shared similar feelings when in 2000, the season of 2009-2010, when we didn't win the championship. That probably shouldn't be a highlight in this 10 for 10, but I think we learned a lot of different lessons. I think we learned lessons about our team, and the following year we learned even more lessons about the women.
Being around here for 7 of the 9 championships, it's interesting that the thing that I think was probably the best moment was the first time the team walked into the weight room after they didn't win 2 years ago. I think that's the time when the teams before them would have probably been the most proud. The amount of focus, energy, desire to be good and to take back what was theirs that was taken from them really unceremoniously.
Unfortunately, that first night, we disqualified a relay that even impacted, our point potential even more. But the way that the women responded and reacted behind the leadership of Katie Sieben and Alex Helland was amazing. I think that we still, even though we didn't win the championship, we were the champions. The women, they swam well, possibly the best A10 meet we've had performance-wise. But the lessons that we learned in defeat that year, and to be able to handle the defeat with class and very gracefully, even though I think we all were burning on the inside, might be a test that allows us to grow the most from.
It truly has been a decade of dominance that has been built from mat to mat, and it's been pretty neat to see it develop and to be a part of it.
And Richmond is just such a great place. I think swimming will always be a great fit there, and the program with just a couple additions, Richmond I think could be a powerhouse in swimming. I think it's just the perfect environment for a collegiate swimming team, and they've got the perfect coach there too right now.
10 years is a long time, and that's a lot of people who have invested, primarily a lot of young women who have invested a lot of their time and their energy to make sure that this team grows and gets better. And there's no way that we could recognize all of them and thank all of them right now, but I think it takes a lot of people, a lot of hard work.